Watch this.
Idaho's highest court reached an opinion today over the state's parental choice tax credits, upholding the new law. But could the concern over Idaho's budget be what puts a ripple in the program? Living with the aftermath and forced to watch family fight cancer after radioactive contamination in the West.
Idaho and Montana were the hardest hit from a government study that they did in 1997.
What it took for downwinders in the Gem State to finally receive compensation. Well, there is a conclusion, at least for now, to the debate over Idaho's parental choice tax credit program. In a ruling today, the Idaho Supreme Court upheld the program, saying it does not violate the state's constitution. The program provides $50 million for private school, homeschooling, or tutoring expenses. Now, last year, public school advocates, including the Idaho Education Association, sued the state over the program. Arguments went all the way to the state Supreme Court last month. The groups argued that it violated a part of the Constitution that requires the legislature to establish and maintain one system of free public schools. After the ruling, the Idaho Education Association sent us a statement saying in part, quote, "Unfortunately, this law undermines that principle." And our arguments apparently fell short of making the case. The Supreme Court has ruled that the tax credits are not unconstitutional, but that it does not mean that they are good policy, end quote. Ultimately, the court decided the program isn't limited to private schools and is available for a range of educational options. The court also says the claims are currently hypothetical and speculative, and they may be re-examined in the future when the impact can be seen. So with that, there is one question to keep in mind, though. If there are cuts to K through 12, like Josh Tanner has asked the Department of Education about, and the state continues funding the tax credit, it could indirectly impact education, which could make this a whole new bill, or rather a whole new ballgame, I should say. And that could help the argument in an appeal to this decision. So it's something we're looking into. At the State House now, a long-standing debate saw a new chapter, I should say, a provision controlling how cities handle anti-discrimination ordinances. Joe Paris followed the final debate in the Idaho House. Joe?
Yes, and this is really off of the Add the Words campaign that we've also talked about on the state level for years. But today, Idaho lawmakers considering House Bill 557. It cleared the full Idaho House and now heads to the Senate. So the proposal would prevent cities and counties from passing anti-discrimination rules or laws that go beyond what the state of Idaho already has. So Idaho law currently prohibits certain forms of discrimination in employment, housing, education, and public accommodations on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, age, disability, or national origin. Gender identity and sexual orientation are not included in that. And right now, some Idaho cities, those local ordinances, they do offer those broader protections, gender identity and sexual orientation namely. This legislation would eliminate those local ordinances and create one uniform standard for municipalities statewide. Supporters say it provides consistency for businesses operating across multiple communities. Critics argue it removes local control and could reduce protections for residents in communities that want them.
The state said no, we do not believe that we should have add the 4 words, sexual orientation and gender identity, that we're all protected equally as man and woman under the rest of our civil rights.
This isn't about acceptance, this is about dominance. And I just see this as setting the record straight. We cannot abuse or impose the will of anything against our faith community.
I ask you to go with your gut on this. What is the long-term effect of voting for a bill that says cities serve at the pleasure of the state? Yikes. That is the least Idaho thing I have ever heard. And one of the things that gives them that comfort is that we have these municipal non-discrimination ordinances. This is actually extremely helpful to our business community in being able to recruit and retain top talent, because they can at least tell these folks, you will be fine in the city of Boise, you will be fine in the city of Pocatello, you will be fine in these places. Don't worry that there's no statewide protection. And so I think
Stripping these protections away at the municipal level will send a very hostile message and will, I think, make it much more difficult for the business community to retain and recruit top talent.
So that bill passed the entire House by a significant margin, essentially upon party lines, but some Republicans did vote no with concerns about local control. Under the legislation, though, business and property owners, as well as residents, they would also have standing to challenge anti-discrimination ordinances locally, which they believe go beyond state law. If this goes through the House and the Senate and gets to the governor's desk, it would take effect July 1st.
I was going to say, you could see party lines there were kind of a little mixed based on what you had heard.
Yeah. So we'll see. This will be an interesting one.
Yeah. All right, Joe, we're going to see you a little later. But for now, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Right here where we are in Emmett was the third hardest hit in the country for iodine.
A single moment set off consequences that traveled far beyond the blast zone and that have rippled across generations. Last week marked the Remembrance Day since the United States launched its first nuclear test in Nevada. That was 75 years ago. It was the beginning of more than a decade of above-ground explosions. The explosions may have been hundreds of miles away, but the radioactive fallout did not stop at state lines, and it didn't spare Idaho. It took a long time for Idahoans to be recognized. Among those who were affected by the radiation, Abby Wilt sat down with one Idaho woman who has spent years living with the aftermath and is now continuing to fight to make sure what happened isn't forgotten.
That day is a day that altered everyone's lives.
January 27th, 1951.
It was 75 years ago that they detonated the first test.
The United States began conducting atmospheric nuclear testing in Nevada.
From 1951 through 1962, they detonated 100 above-ground bombs at the Nevada test site,
Ultimately exposing Idahoans to radioactive contamination, and those who were exposed are called downwinders. Tona Henderson witnessed the effects from it firsthand.
Both sides of my family have been here since the 1870s, and it was a realization of that's why there's so many people in this valley that are sick.
In 2004, Henderson decided it was time to bring the issue into the public eye.
The woman who brought this all to our attention, her name was Sherry Garman. She was about 10 years older than me, and she was born and raised here in Emmett on a dairy farm, and she had 5 types of cancer before she passed away.
Downwinders were exposed to nuclear fallout, and they developed symptoms from it, like rare forms of cancer or sickness.
The Atomic Energy Commission chairman called the people that were downwind of the tests the low-use segment of the population. Essentially, all that fallout came into Idaho because they waited for the wind to blow north.
Henderson says it affected thousands of Idahoans.
Everybody knows that's lived here in Idaho. We all know a lot of people with cancer. My mom died. My mom has passed away now, but she had breast cancer. She didn't die from it, but she suffered with it. And my oldest brother's had cancer, and my next brother down had cancer.
In 2022, Congress enacted the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, which allows people who feel they were exposed and developed cancer or other diseases to apply for a one-time payment benefit. The one problem, Idahoans weren't allowed to apply. When
it was enacted by Congress, they allowed for 21 counties in Arizona, Utah, and Nevada. They did not include the hardest hit places of Idaho and Montana.
It wasn't until July 4th, 2025, that the act was reauthorized under the One Big Beautiful Bill, and Idahoans were finally included. Since then, Henderson says thousands of Idahoans have applied.
I heard that 9,000 applications have been submitted. The government figured that there would be, by the end of next year, of December 31st of 2027, they figure there'll be 76,000 applications.
Henderson now spends her days helping Idahoans walk through the application process. And while she says a payment compensation is necessary, it doesn't bring her loved ones back.
I'm hoping that Congress realizes what they've done to their own citizens. And I really pray that they don't do it again.
The damage can't be undone, but Henderson says telling these stories ensure it's never forgotten.
Once you see that kind of thing, you can't turn away and look a different direction.
Anyone who lived in Idaho from 1951 to 1962 and can provide proof that they lived here and they were affected can now apply for the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act and could receive $100,000 tax-free.
Okay, Abby, we have a comment that came in. Kim says she's from Nampa. Her mother-in-law, her sister, her mother, her father all got cancer from downwinders. They all lived in Nampa, Idaho. Okay, so she's doing a lot of these meetings in Emmett. Is she planning to expand some of these meetings to help people get compensation here in Boise, in Nampa, in those areas?
She's definitely looking at bringing it here to the Treasure Valley. She said right now she's working to find enough space. The last meeting that she held in Emmett, there was 200 people there interested.
Wow.
So definitely looking for somewhere where she can host that. And I do want to note, you do have to prove that you had one of 19 types of cancer to apply, and then you send that to the Department of Justice and they'll assess it. But definitely more workshops coming soon. We'll let you know when they come here to Boise.
Yeah, a long time coming for Idahoans, Abby.
Yeah,
Thank you.
for sure.
Farming technology has evolved, allowing ag producers to get creative with how they plant and harvest their products. But for garlic growers in Idaho, they have no other option but to be creative. Not only is the crop delicate, but there are a lot of restrictions in the gem state when it comes to farming garlic. Part of the challenge comes from avoiding a disease that permanently damages soil.
We live, pretty much the whole Snake River Plain is in what's called the Idaho Allium Quarantine Zone. And so in that quarantine zone, only garlic that has been inspected and certified can be used to grow garlic. So if you want to grow garlic at your house, you need to buy from a certified dealer, and that certified dealer has had all their garlic inspected. ISD, the Department of Agriculture, has come out, looked at it, made sure there's no white rot in that garlic, and then you can plant it.
Those regulations, along with the hands-on labor to plant, pull weeds, harvest, and process it, makes growing garlic difficult. Coming up on the News at 6, we talk about how a new grant funding could change the future of garlic and making the planting process a little less burdensome on growers. Fresh out of college, Joe Paris took a chance on KTVB 9 years ago. He graduated from Colorado State University on a Friday and started here the following Monday. Joe's covered just about everything. One of his first stories here was about postal workers dealing with aggressive dogs on the job. He's reported from the trailing of sheep in Sun Valley and the State House for the legislative session. He's covered many of the nooks and crannies of Idaho life, even traveling to the nation's capital to check in with our congressional delegation. Joe built a family here. He met his wife, Haley, while on the job. After they got married in 2023, they welcomed their baby boy, Finn, into the world more than a year ago. We even had a gender reveal for Joe's son on the News at 4. Joe has been a fixture here at Channel 7. Leading with kindness and humor, he encourages his colleagues every day and somehow remains calm when all of the chaos arises. We are so grateful for the stories he brought to KTVB and his contributions here on the 208. So before Joe moves into his next chapter, we wanted to take a look back and say thank you.
Boise Postmaster Dan Corral says new technology is helping mail carriers avoid dangerous situations. What was the traffic going to be like? And there was a lot of concern that it was just honestly going to be chaos. And before you start sliding, gliding, and flying through the air, you have to stretch.
Oh, that's great. It's like the painting where they're reaching. Because it is so hard. And it's scary, because if you fall, there is not any give on the ice.
They kind of just took over the neighborhood this morning, which was fun.
This morning, 118 goats showed up to Summerwind Drive in Boise, hungry for breakfast.
Mayhem. A ton of goats got loose. I don't know how, but it's pretty awesome.
And very quickly, the rumor of a goat invasion spread through the neighborhood.
When we walked around the corner, we didn't realize how many goats there would be.
Dozens of people rolled out of bed to find the front lawn buffet open for business. So there you have it. After a memorable morning, to say the least, these new kids on the block are now loaded up in their trailer and headed back home. The neighbors back inside, and life goes on as usual here in Boise. Be careful out there because it is very slick and there's a lot of cars sliding around here this afternoon. But one more time out the window, you can see there, we have a nice safe following distance here.
When you talk about the in-demand careers, I have the list here that the Workforce Development Council put together. I mean, there's not like 5 or 10 careers here. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of jobs.
We want to talk about, how a bill's made in Idaho. Sans music for now. Is the hat too much?
Too cool. Tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
Is that looking about right?
Governor's excited about his oatmeal. It is unbelievable.
All right, Rick, here are 3 names. You'll pick the fake one. Street Fever, Blood Lemon, or Dog on a Bench.
Street Fever.
That's a real band.
It is?
The fake one was Dog on a Bench.
Oh, geez.
I saw a dog on the bench over there.
Tell us your good news.
My good news is I'm visiting my daughter.
Big Parents Weekend?
Big Parents Weekend. She's a sophomore. I'm very proud of her and I'm very happy to be here.
It's been a long time.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
Kevin,
That was
why have you done this?
Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin Esslinger. I'm pretty sure that's who did that.
Yeah.
Man,
Wow,
you guys had
Joe.
some deep cuts in there, some old ones.
I gotta say too, that reel that we just watched of you says everything you need to know about Joe. You and I orbited in professional circles for a long time before we ever worked together here. And I gotta say, you have been a pro. You have been so talented, so approachable, even on TV. And having that come through on TV, I'll just tell you at home, is not always as easy as it seems. And so Joe is such a talent at making his, I think you said, humor and kindness come through. You are exactly the person off camera that you are on camera.
Well,
we are all gonna miss you here. Your energy and your positivity is just, it's infectious, and we are going to miss you so much.
And I mean, talk about joining the 208 too, right? You were an OG. You were here when it was born. And the moment that I stepped into this career and I was like, what is this 208 and what have I got myself into? The whole time you're like, I got you, like come with me. And you made it so much more approachable. And anytime we have questions, still to this date, because you know legislature like nobody's business, but you were the person that we rely on. And it's really hard to know that now I just moved pods and now I can't be sitting next to you.
This makes your next chapter perfect, right?
Yes.
How are you feeling about everything?
I'm really excited. I'm going to miss this, and I'm going to miss the people, and that was a really fun trip down memory lane. I have so much to owe to the business and to Channel 7 and the people here. I'm excited, though, for my next chapter, working at the Secretary of State's office with Secretary McGrain and Matt and Chelsea and the entire team down there. I'm excited to serve the people of Idaho in elections. I grew a passion for elections and election integrity and getting involved in the process through my work here, and I'll still be around. I told everyone in the newsroom, I still have to physically go by the building twice a day, so who knows?
Hear a honk, maybe a double honk?
Me,
Double
or maybe
honk.
I'll show
7
up.
honks.
They do a lot of free
that.
meals here.
We do.
So, if I happen to be in the neighborhood for a barbecue or something.
Come on in.
Love you guys. Thank you so much. And thank you to the viewers and all the texts and comments over the years. You guys made it happen.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of which, should we get to those later?
Yeah, we'll get to those. Okay, we're getting to viewer comments. We have to have Joe because it is time. Okay, we have this one. It says, Joe, as I watch you say goodbye tonight, I fight back tears. Watching you and Brian was a pure pleasure, and that's what my husband and I did every night at 5 o'clock. We met in front of the TV. If we weren't already there, then we would bounce ideas off each other. We watched the 208 religiously until my husband passed away 21 months ago to cancer. I just want to say thank you and Brian for all of the special times over the years. I hope you love your new job. We were Teresa and Bill in Filer. Best of luck.
Thank you, Teresa. Oh, best wishes to you.
So kind.
That's why we do it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Thank you, Teresa. That was really sweet.
It was really, really sweet. Oh, okay. We're going to get to more of these. They make me emotional thinking about all of these things. Okay, now we have, hey, Joe, we're going to miss you. Is Phil going to make you cut your hair and beard? Good luck.
I am going to get a haircut. I was waiting to have my last day on the job here. I wanted to show, like, time had passed.
Yeah.
Like, I've gotten older.
Aw.
So I didn't want to, like, get spiffed up for the, but yes, to answer your question, yes. The beard stays, but who knows?
Shave it all off?
The head? No. I've got some cosmetic work to do up here. I don't have a lot to work with, so I got to find a good local option.
Okay,
Thanks.
there you go. I like that.
But I'm not going to shave it off.
He's not shaving his hair.
No.
We'll
It'll
keep
get too
an eye
cold.
on it. Yeah, just in case.
Yeah.
Okay, going to our next viewer question now. Has Joe Paris ever been to Paris, France? Just wondering. We will miss him.
Nope, have not crossed the Atlantic, but great question. I've been to Paris, Idaho.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite segments, I gotta say.
I loved going to Paris.
Really, really good.
That was good.
Okay, Joe's going to definitely be missed on the 208, but you're doing a fantastic job, Bob. Thank you for
Thank you,
that.
Bob.
But Joe, you're so iconic. More praise.
I don't know about
okay?
that. I appreciate that.
I gotta say.
I really appreciate it. I feel like this is just amazing.
Okay, then we have Jeff who says, thanks for everything, Joe, and good luck with your future.
Wow. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Hunter. I can't wait to watch the 208.
And I can't wait to call you all the time.
Continue with us and watch free now on the KTVB Plus app everywhere you stream.